Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are diving into the absolutely fascinating world of fluoroscopy. Have you ever wondered how doctors can literally look inside a living human body and watch it work in real time? Like, exactly as it functions from the inside? Well, you're in the right place. We're going to unpack the tech, the history, and the incredibly clever safety mechanisms that make this whole thing possible. Let's get into it. Starting off with Section 1, the medical X-ray movie. Seeing biology in motion. Okay, to really wrap our heads around what we're looking at here, we kind of need to forget standard X-rays for a second. Standard X-rays, they're like static photographs, right? Just a quick freeze frame of a bone or an organ. But life isn't static, and that is where fluoroscopy comes in. It's essentially a medical X-ray movie. Instead of just a quick flash, it uses a continuous or intermittent beam. And this lets physicians actually observe dynamic biological processes right as they happen. We're talking about watching a beating heart or seeing a patient digest food. It is quite literally a live broadcast of your internal anatomy. Which brings us to Section 2, from Edison to digital, the evolution of the X-ray movie. You know, we have made a massive leap over the last century or so. Back in 1896, Thomas Edison actually introduced the first fluoroscopy system. He used this really basic fluorescent screen. And look, as groundbreaking as it was back then, it was also pretty terrifying. It had dangerously high radiation exposure and honestly terrible image quality. But fast forward to today, it's a whole new world. We've completely traded in those dangerous glowing screens for high-tech digital flat panel detectors made out of amorphous silicon. And what that means for us is much higher spatial resolution and significantly lower distortion. Basically, we get crystal clear images without getting hit by a massive dose of radiation. All right, Section 3, how it actually works, behind the scenes of the production. So you might be wondering, how do we actually film this internal medical movie? Well, this right here is the highly specialized machinery that makes it all happen, a modern fluoroscopy machine. Up at the top, or sometimes tucked below the table, depending on the exact setup, is the X-ray tube. This tube operates at seriously high voltages to generate the X-rays by accelerating electrons. Right below that, we have the collimator, which physically shapes the beam. And then, capturing all the magic, is the image detector. All of these pieces are usually mounted on what's called a C-arm. It's this motorized structure that can rotate super precisely to catch multiple angles. It really is like this beautifully choreographed mechanical dance. And the workflow behind it is beautifully linear. And get this, it all happens in just a fraction of a second. First, the operator uses a control console to dial in the exact exposure parameters, things like voltage and time. Then the machine emits the X-ray beam. That beam passes safely straight through the patient's body. On the other side, the flat panel detector captures those rays, and the system instantly converts that energy into an electronic signal. Bam! High-resolution visuals right there on the doctor's multi-screen display in the operating room. Moving right along to Section 4, real-world medical action, special effects, and diagnostic genres. Now, we do run into a bit of a challenge here. Soft tissues, like your intestines or your veins, they tend to just look like gray, blurry shadows on standard imaging. Not super helpful, right? So to make them pop on screen, we bring in the special effects of the medical world, contrast materials. Patients are given a contrast agent, usually a barium or iodine dye. And because these materials are dense enough to block X-rays, wherever that dye goes, it literally paints a stark, high-contrast silhouette on the monitor. It dramatically improves the clarity of tricky structures like the gastrointestinal tract or complex blood vessels. Just look at the stunning difference these dyes make in real clinical applications. On the left, we're looking at a gastrointestinal study. The barium contrast lets doctors clearly track all the little twists and turns of the GI tract in vivid detail, making it super easy to spot any blockages. And then on the right, in cardiovascular fluoroscopy, doctors are using that real-time imaging to safely guide a cardiac catheter right through a total maze of blood vessels, directly into the heart. It's an incredibly precise interventional procedure that honestly just wouldn't be possible without this live visual feedback. Okay, Section 5, ensuring safety from radiation, protecting the set and the actors. So we really have to address the elephant in the room here. How on earth do we protect the patients and the medical staff from a continuous stream of X-rays? Well, this is where modern engineering truly shines. Historically, machines used a constant, unbroken X-ray beam, which meant very high radiation. That is largely obsolete now. Today's gold standard is what we call pulsed fluoroscopy. Instead of a constant stream, the machine fires X-rays in incredibly short bursts, usually around 15 to 30 pulses per second. This clever trick maintains a really smooth frame rate for the movie, but it drastically cuts down the overall radiation dose. And I should point out, this dose reduction is absolutely crucial when treating pediatric patients, because kids are significantly more sensitive to radiation exposure than adults. But pulsed beams aren't the only safety feature we have. Enter our unsung hardware hero, the collimator. You can think of it as a highly precise lead shutter system attached right to the X-ray tube. It physically limits the exact size and shape of the X-ray beam before it even has a chance to reach the patient. And by strictly confining that beam, it accomplishes two totally vital things. First, it improves the image quality by cutting down on scatter radiation, and second, it directly prevents unnecessary radiation from hitting other parts of the patient's body. Oh, and it protects the doctors standing nearby too. So we have clearly come an incredibly long way from those hazardous glowing screens of 1896. Today, fluoroscopy is this highly controlled, ultra-safe digital marvel. It gives doctors the literal power to intervene and save lives by watching biology unfold in real time. With all these amazing advancements protecting us while simultaneously revealing the hidden, dynamic secrets of the human body, it really leaves us wondering, as this tech gets even sharper, even faster, what incredible biological movie are we going to premiere next? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep that curiosity alive.